The crystalline halls of the Galactic Council chamber hummed with anticipation as representatives from 47 species gathered to address what they deemed the human problem. Hayal stood before them, her dark eyes scanning the assembled delegates with barely contained fury. Beside her, Kevin remained silent, his jaw clenched as the council's verdict echoed through the chamber. Humanity is hereby classified as a Tier 3 subordinate species, High Arbiter Zexthar announced, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Your expansion is terminated. Your military dissolved. Your independence revoked. The chamber erupted in clicks, chirps, and approving hums. The older races had spoken. Humanity, the upstart species that had reached the stars in mere centuries rather than millennia, would be put in its place. Hayal stepped forward. You're making a mistake. Zexthar's mandibles clicked in amusement. Young species always believe themselves special. You will learn humility as others have before you. 24 hours, Kevin said quietly, speaking for the first time. Give us 24 hours to comply and we'll show you exactly what humanity has learned. The council agreed, confident in their superior numbers and ancient technology. After all, what could these barely evolved primates possibly do? 18 hours later, every council species received the same transmission. Hale's face appeared on billions of screens across the galaxy. You wanted to see what makes humans different? She began, her voice calm but carrying an edge sharp enough to cut through steel. You've studied our wars, our violence, our primitive emotions. You think you understand us? You don't. Kevin appeared beside her, pulling up holographic displays. While you were busy categorizing us as subordinates, we were busy learning. About you. About every species in this council. The displays showed something that made every council chamber across the galaxy fall silent. Detailed schematics, security protocols, defense grid vulnerabilities, banking systems, communication networks. Every secret, every weakness, every carefully guarded piece of information the council species possessed, laid bare. The Vrexians, Hayal continued, gesturing to one display. Your quantum encryption has a flaw in the 7th harmonic sequence. We've been reading your military communications for 3 years. The Kilrathi Collective, Kevin added. Your hive mind operates on a specific neurological frequency. We've developed a disruptor. Non-lethal, but it would cause complete societal paralysis for approximately 72 hours. Species after species, they revealed intimate knowledge that should have been impossible for humanity to possess, but they weren't threatening. They were teaching. You think our rapid advancement is suspicious, Hayal said. You're right to be suspicious, but not for the reasons you think. She pulled up an image of Earth, rotating slowly in the void. We come from a death world, a planet that tried to kill us every single day of our evolution. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, ice ages. Our planet threw everything at us. So we learned to adapt, faster than anyone else in the galaxy needed to. Kevin took over. But adaptation wasn't enough. We learned something else, something you ancient stable species never had to develop. Cooperation, Hayal finished. Real cooperation. Not hive minds, not genetic imperatives. Choice. We choose to work together because we learned that together. We could overcome anything our world threw at us. The displays changed, showing human cities, human stations, human colonies, diverse, chaotic, beautiful. Every species in this council achieved spaceflight because they unified under single planetary governments, Kevin explained. You had centuries of peace before reaching the stars. We got here despite having 200 nations, thousands of cultures, hundreds of languages. We dragged ourselves into space while still fighting each other. And that, Hayal said, her eyes burning with intensity, is why you should be terrified of what happens if you try to subordinate us. She let the silence hang for a moment before continuing. We don't want to be your enemies. We came to the council seeking partnership, not dominance. But if you force us to fight, you need to understand what you're facing. Kevin pulled up a final display. Humans don't just adapt to environments. We adapt environments to us. We don't just solve problems. We find 10 different solutions and use all of them simultaneously. We don't just survive. We thrive in conditions that would end other species. We've colonized radiation-soaked moons, acidic atmospheres, zero-gravity environments, and frozen wastes, Hayal added, We've done it in less than a century of spaceflight. Imagine what we'll accomplish in a millennium. The transmission shifted to show both of them standing side by side. So here's our counteroffer, Hayal said. Rescind your subordination decree. Recognize humanity as an equal partner in the Galactic Council. And in return, we'll delete every piece of intelligence we've gathered. We'll share our adaptive technology. We'll teach you what we've learned about rapid problem solving. Kevin smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Or you can try to enforce your decree. And you'll learn why every predator on Earth eventually learned to fear the humans. Your choice, Hayal finished. You have 1 hour. The transmission ended. 43 minutes later, High Arbiter Zexthar appeared on every human-occupied world, his voice humble for the first time in his 3-century career. The Galactic Council withdraws its decree. Humanity is recognized as a full member species. We apologize for our presumption. In the human delegation chamber, Hayal and Kevin watched the broadcast. She turned to him exhausted. Think they learned anything? Kevin shrugged. They learned not to underestimate us. That's a start. And if they hadn't backed down? He grinned. Then they would have learned why you never corner a species that clawed its way to the top of its food chain through sheer stubbornness. Hayal laughed despite herself. Humanity had just stared down the entire galaxy and won. Not through violence, but through the very thing that made them human. The ability to adapt, learn, and overcome any challenge placed before them. The Council had tried to subordinate humanity. Instead, they'd learned to respect it. It was, Kevin reflected, the most human outcome possible.